We want to make sure that our students are really thinking about how they're using social media. I mean, if they're using it to stand up for a cause, good for them. If they're using it to trash a friend that they've had a fallout with, that's a whole different issue. And so we don't take a punitive approach, we take an educational approach.
You're listening to the SmartSocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
I'm Dr. Gehrett. I am the Education Technology Director at Dinuba Unified School District in Dinuba, California. And we have about 6,600 students. We're in the rural part, Central California, and we have about 10 schools.
My name is Jeff Thake. I am the Superintendent of the Aberdeen School District number 5 in Aberdeen, Washington. We're out in the Pacific Northwest, right off the ocean, about an hour and 40 minutes south of Seattle. We have 8 schools and approximately 3,100 students who we serve.
Hi, I'm Shelly Viramontez. I am the Superintendent of Campbell School District. A bit of a misnomer since most of my schools are in San Jose, California. So we have about 6,100 students. We are a TK through 8th grade district, and we have 12 schools, 8 elementary, 2 comprehensive middle schools, and 2 TK through 8th grade schools.
How has the prevalence of technology in the classroom impacted student learning and engagement? And what strategies have you found to be the most effective in keeping students focused and productive?
We have had technology in the district at different levels, obviously, throughout the years. When COVID happened, we became overnight a one-to-one school district. And so all of our students now have Chromebooks and have access to them 24/7 if they're above 2nd grade. And so they take them home at night as well as on breaks. In the classroom, we use a variety of apps to engage students. I just got off a Zoom with Nearpod, which is one of the apps that we use that help engage students both in the classroom and in independent work. You know, the thing that I've always said is technology needs to be enhancing and not distracting. And so from classroom to classroom, depending on the teacher's level of experience, that can be true or not true. In other words, the technology can be a distraction if they're not managing the classroom well, or if they're using technology for just technology's sake. But when they're truly integrating it into what they're doing and it's used as a tool like we as adults use tools when we need them, then it becomes definitely, I would say that one of the things we're trying to do overall is we have written a digital learning plan that has grade level expectations for kindergarten through 8th grade. And so one of the ways we're trying to grow skills, not just technology skills, but digital citizenship skills, information literacy skills, computational thinking skills, is to create actual expectations that we're hoping kids can do at each grade level up through 8th grade. If they get to 8th grade and they have those skills, then they're going to be awesome at 9th grade. So we don't necessarily need to take those skills. But when they get to high school, that's what we're working on. And have a long ways to go, but we're trying to develop structures and resources so that we don't have deserts and oases. We've talked about that before, that we have classrooms that everybody's using technology effectively and learning the skills and the things that they need. And it's not just one room is a desert and the other next room is an oasis. So that's what we're trying to get rid of through our digital learning plan and our grade level expectations.
Apps and tools that we can use in the classroom have evolved exponentially since a lot of school districts went to one-on-one with technology. We, of course, are a one-on-one district as well. You know, we think that there's some very good apps that we have students using. In a post-pandemic world, you know, we've had an emergence of students who learn best in a virtual or a distance, like a virtual learning academy. We've actually expanded our virtual learning academy opportunities for kids, which has been something it's been extremely positive. I mean, we learn not every student learns best in a traditional classroom. Not every student learns best in a distance classroom, but that's kind of been my rage against public education, because in 200 years, there hasn't really been a lot of change in how we operate and how we serve students. So technology in the classroom has been something that's very positive. there's a good balance of when to use technology and when to not use technology. And I think our teachers over time have evolved to know what that balance truly looks like.
Well, I think that that's a little bit of a mixed bag, right? So it's like any kind of technology. Used well, it is a fabulous enhancement. And I see examples of it being used well all the time. I was in a classroom earlier today, and a teacher was able to do small group instruction while she had her different students in groups based on the kind of the skill gaps that she had identified. So they were getting some reinforced instruction on the technology while she was doing small group instruction with students. So to me, that's a great way to use the technology.
What strategies have you found to be the most effective in keeping students focused and productive when it comes to technology or the use of social media?
Well, I think considering the developmental level of the students is critical, right? So not having the students on a device for longer than their attention span works for. We're also collecting some data right now. We're working with a company called Splunk to understand where technology is being used, what grade levels, and then being able to understand from the teachers, how are they using the technology? We all learned about the SAMR model years ago now. And so we want to make sure that we're actually using technology to augment their learning and to modify for students who need that rather than just using it as some sort of passive babysitter.
How is your district handling social media use off campus and on campus?
Well, we have a long ways to go in this area. I mean, the social media piece that happened the most is through their phones, not so much through our district. And so social media, I think, is being used effectively by our students, but also there's lots of examples of where it's not being used so effectively. And so we're trying to educate. We're trying to work again that we have a information literacy and a digital citizenship strands for our plan. And so that teachers are talking about that. We're using obviously smart social and other tools like that to try to educate. But social media is a problem. A couple of weeks ago, I had a thread on social media and I was up early in the morning putting out a message to our community about it. And luckily nothing bad happened, but we did have a threat through a student got arrested. So as well as that's just one example, but things that happen on campus where kids are taking video and posting it and texting and things like that. So part of it is not only changing things with kids at school, but changing the community or working with the community to say, okay, this is not how we behave on social media, because we have adults that don't behave well on social media and as well. So it's really it's not just a school thing, it's a community thing that needs to work.
Can say this about our district: you cannot access the district server. When you access our district servers, if you click on a social media site, you're not going to be able to access it during the instructional day. However, we still do have Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram as social media sites for our students. We were actually presented with that, what you were talking about. It was the Sunday after our high school homecoming week. I received a text message early morning Sunday because somebody posted on TikTok a threatening message. The message read, and I quote, "I'm going to bring a gun to school on Monday." Well, we immediately mobilized our administrative cabinet. We were interacting with law enforcement, and we mobilized our administrative team and the people who oversee the TikTok account. There were a lot of fake profiles. Through collaborative efforts, we're running down leads. Where do we know who this person is? Is it a fake profile? We were able to run down and apprehend the suspect who actually posted the threatening message. But we didn't know who it was as of 6 p.m. the night before, Monday morning when school started. So we ended up canceling school, in which case we used that as an opportunity to really strengthen that collaborative relationship between the schools and law enforcement. And all of my 8 sites, all of our administrative teams, we evaluated our threat assessment tools and our crisis plans.
Well, we're actually partnering with parents. And, I've been very transparent with our parent community that this is a collective challenge for us. And so we work with Common Sense Media, the Northern Regional expert in our area, Jamie Nunez, has provided a number of parent workshops. And we find that that's really helpful for parents to understand how they can monitor the use of their child's media presence and also the applications. We don't take a stance of this is good, this is bad, because we feel like it's neither. It's how it's used that determines whether it's used in a good way or a bad way. So we're trying to make sure our parents understand how they can monitor their students' use. And then also our schools are Common Sense Media certified, meaning that we are working with our students to make sure that they understand the kind of footprint that they're leaving. And so it doesn't go away. And so we talk to them very candidly about that. I was recently asked to do an interview for New York Times around the exposure that technology is allowing for pornography for students. And again, I said we leverage our profile of a graduate competencies. Critical thinking is a big one. And so we want to make sure that our students are really thinking about how they're using social media. I mean, if they're using it to stand up for a cause, good for them. If they're using it to trash a friend that they've had a fallout with, that's a whole different issue. And so we don't take a punitive approach, we take an educational approach. One of our other competencies is empathy. And so really helping students understand, how do you think that makes this other person feel when they read this comment? We're just trying to make or support our students in being healthy users and consumers of media.
Can you provide some examples of how some students in your community at your school have used social media in a positive and productive way that might have benefited themselves or their community?
Sure. We have this great event called Food Ball. It's like a food drive. We compete with our neighboring district, Aberdeen and Ochs. We both share the Grace Harbor County area as the two larger districts. There's a competition, or there had been in the past, about there's several events, fundraising events where people can donate canned food. We were very impressed with the outcome. I want to say we raised roughly close to $150,000 in food, between the districts. It was phenomenal. But people were using social media websites to say, hey, make sure you come here, make sure you come here. There was a lot of discussion too about the TikTok website. Is that something that's appropriate, to be using in public education? Well, we had a lot of student feedback saying, well, that's how we communicate with each other. It was very interesting because, there's pros and cons to TikTok that we hear about on many different levels. But our students are very skilled and they are using it in a positive manner to promote positive things. And I was very pleased and very impressed with my first ever food ball.
Well, I think, for instance, we had a group of fourth grade girls at our Campbell School of Innovation, and earlier in the fall, they decided that they were going to make these hygiene bags for the homeless. And so they put it out on social media where they were going to have their lemonade stand and what they were going to do and why they were going to do it. And then, a couple of people in the area that knew the kids repeated it. They ended up making like $350, and they had one van load of guys that were on a construction site that, when they found out what they were doing, they gave them like, $20 a lemonade because of that. So that's one example that I can think of. We have an innovation council, and so we were having the conversation just last week at our meeting, and one of the members of our council is the CEO of the local business association. And he was talking about the challenge of getting folks to come into the business fronts, like they like to walk around, go to the bars, go to the restaurants, but they're not coming in to visit the small business owners. So we talked to some of the students about how they could do promotional campaigns to get more foot traffic into some of our area local businesses. And so we're going to work collaboratively with the Chamber of Commerce on this endeavor and have our students kind of launch this through, they're going to use digital media and then also some social media.
Are there any special ways your district's using tech in a homeroom advisory class that might happen once a week or every single day on a weekly or monthly basis to enhance learning and collaboration among students?
Well, we have in our elementary schools, we have a curriculum called the Positivity Project. And in that, the principles, there's a variety of resources that are available online for teachers and students to use. But one of the things that is a byproduct of COVID is we're all familiar with Zoom or Google Meet or whatever. And so our principals will actually come on and on the screen through Google Meet or Zoom to all the classrooms and do the intro to the positivity project concept of the week. And so in a lot of ways, that's a unique use of technology to broadcast the principal who's never done that before, and for us to encourage the kids to collaborate and the teachers to collaborate around that curriculum. It is a focus on positivity. It's not math. It's not language arts. And that's kind of a homeroom type event that happens. And our secondary schools, we don't have a homeroom specifically, but we have times throughout the year where counselors go in and interact and collaborate with the students about various digital and social media issues, as well as just basic responsibility and citizenship and, all of those things.
Canvas is where a lot of our students access information. We also have online learning opportunities through Edgenuity. We have it's a very popular and important choice that a lot of our students are able to make. The same thing is true just in the classroom with various instructional materials like iReady that we use, for baseline assessment work. Our students are very well versed with technology. There's some things that never change, and one of those things that never changes is our students are a lot faster than the adults are with how they're able to use it and incorporate it. But specifically that we use it on a daily basis. You can probably see those types of platforms in every single classroom across the district.
So we're doing a little bit of all of that. And so we don't necessarily have a homeroom in all of our classes, but we do have what's called morning crew. So all of our classes, they'll meet together and kind of talk about either a current challenge or a current topic. It's aligned to our social emotional learning work and our PBIS. But our students have been collaborating through technology for quite some time. We were actually one-to-one before the pandemic hit. And so, teachers will assign a project and students have to demonstrate how they're contributing to that particular project. Yesterday, I was in a middle school class and students were reviewing their social studies content, but part of the review was turning the answers into a game format. And so they had all these different games that students would play one another's games as a way to reinforce the concepts that were supposed to be learned. So I thought, what a creative way rather than that drill and kill kind of studying that I used to do.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.